Welcome to the sacred work of love. As always, I want to start out by connecting with our point of reference, a wonderful point of reference, the Torah that Hashem blessed us with and gave us the mission to share its lessons and its ideas with the world at large. And the Torah is divided into approximately 50 or so portions and read each week. One portion a week is read in synagogues throughout the world, and so each portion becomes a mini reference point of sorts. If we look at that reference point, what we find is we find the Mishkan, the tabernacle, instructions for building a house of God. And the Mishkan was the portable house of God, so to speak, that the Jewish people were instructed to build while they were still sojourning in the desert on their way to the Promised Land. When they arrived at the Promised Land, it took a couple of 100 years, but eventually they built the Beis HaMikdash, the Holy Temple, which then stood for a few years until it was destroyed for about 70 years. And then the Jewish people built, created, returned to the land. They had been exiled, and they created the Second Commonwealth, and the Beis HaMikdash was built again until it was destroyed by the Roman Empire. And we continued to be in that exile of Rome, which eventually became Europe and became the Western powers that shaped civilization. So Hashem commanded the Jewish people to build a temple, to build a tabernacle, to be more precise, is what it says in the Torah. And it says, Asuli Mikdash. You should make for me, fashion for me, a holy place. V'shachanti b'socham, and I will dwell amongst you. So there's two questions we want to focus on. Both have the same answer. The first question is, it says, V'asuli mikdash. You should make for me a holy place. However, I wasn't really translating it accurately. I was translating it as it is commonly translated. You should make for me a holy place, a sanctuary. But the real word that means holy place is kadosh. Kadosh is holy. If it said, V'asuli bayit kadosh, you should make for me a holy house, or V'asuli makom kadosh, ohel kadosh, a temporary, a tent, a holy tent, a holy place, that would be intuitive. That's what Hashem was saying. Create for me a holy place. But it doesn't say that. It says, V'asuli mikdash. Do you hear that letter mem, mikdash? Beit HaMikdash? Mikdash is an action letter. Mem is an action letter. A love is a borrower. A malve is a lender. Mem is an action letter. So, in the opinion of Hirsch, definitely implies it if he doesn't say it directly. But Asuli Mikdash is saying you should create for me a sanctuary. The real word should be a sanctifier. Create for me a place that will sanctify. It will make holy. It will bring holiness, impart holiness into those that enter its portals. And that goes along with the second part of the verse. It says, V'asuli mikdash, make for me a sanctuary, b'shachanti b'socham, and I will dwell amongst you. It doesn't say, b'shachanti sham, and I will dwell there. Again, intuitive. Make for me a sanctuary, b'shachanti sham. I will dwell there, shama. It doesn't say that. It says, V'asuli mikdash. Make for me an institution, a building, a focal point that's going to help you. It's going to impart holiness into you. It's going to help you in your quest to become holy people. B'shachanti b'socham. And then I will dwell amongst you. And so when we look at the vessels that were in the temple, when we look at the structure of the Mishkan and later the Beis HaMikdash, at the materials that went into it, they were all lessons in relationship. In the relationship between the Jewish people and Hashem, and ultimately by extension between the world and Hashem. What great blessings has God given us? What gifts of love? Love means relationship. What gifts of love did God impart to us? The Aron, which signifies the Torah, God's words, God's instructions, God's messages, God's educational truths. The Torah is a blessing, is a gift of love that Hashem has graced us with. And from that Torah, if we allow it to shape our minds and our hearts, if we look at the entire Torah and look at what its message is, and if we're guided by our soul in understanding that message, it will lead to much more blessings. The blessings of the menorah, of illuminating our soul, our spirit, our human spirit, our human authentic nature, our authentic wants and yearnings will be illuminated. They will come to life in technicolor. They will be lit up. That's the menorah. And there will be the blessing of harmony and the blessing of material prosperity. That's the blessing of the Shulchan. That's the message of the Shulchan. So, the Mishkan was a place that was holy, but it more aptly put was a place that was meant to impart holiness, to preach and teach messages that will uplift, that will inspire, that will reorient those visitors and the learners, the studiers of how it looked with holiness. With the holiness of understanding that we were given gifts. We are in a relationship of love with Hashem, and He imparted in us His holy, sacred words. Words that create, words that can create holiness within us. And words that can illuminate our innermost spirit, our soul, our menorah. That will illuminate our life and ultimately lead to the blessings of material prosperity. The home, every person really, every person, every human being can be a mini temple, meaning a place where God resides. And more importantly, they can be a co-creator, a partner with Hashem in bringing, in imparting holiness to those that they come across. There's a famous age-old song. I believe it's attributed to Yehuda Halevi, a medieval spiritual composer, which says, Bilvavi Mishkan Evne, I will build a Mishkan, a place for Hashem to dwell in my heart. But it's not just about building a place for Hashem to dwell in your heart. It's about building a heart that will bring and allow the holiness of Hashem to flow through it to bless the lives of others. And not just every human being can be a temple. Every family is a temple. Every family, every couple that engages in the sacred, although difficult, but still sacred, or I shouldn't say but still sacred, I should say precisely because it is difficult, sacred work of love, and creates a home of peace, of harmony, of spirituality. And if they are privileged and blessed with children, to raise children in an environment like that, and to create a home where those that enter its portals will have holiness imparted in them. Every home is a mikdash. That is Jewish consciousness. Because a home that has two human beings who have connected with their innermost authentic selves, with their yearning to be people of holiness and to engage in the difficult but sacred work of creating a long-term, faithful relationship between man and woman. Those two, that sacred couple creates a home that is a temple as well. The sacred work of love. The work is sacred and the product is sacred. And the home that is built is a mikdash, a vehicle, a vessel that imparts holiness to others. From beautiful homes are created wonderful children. From beautiful, meaning spiritually, morally, rooted homes and couples are created wonderful, fantastic communities, and ultimately a nation, and ultimately a world. Later on in the Torah, it says that when there's trouble in a Jewish family between husband and wife, the wife is actually brought to the Beis HaMikdash. There's a concept of a sota, which I'm not going to go fully into right now, but it was a woman that was accused of possibly cheating on her husband, and it was for good reason. It was for a good reason. In other words, she had acted in such a way. And the husband was not guilty of that stuff himself. That also was, to some degree, part of it. And they wanted to reconnect their marriage. And the woman wanted to show that she had still been faithful despite her behavior. She had to go to the Beis HaMikdash together with her husband. Because that was a reminder that your home is a Beis HaMikdash. Your home is a temple. All right. So, of course, this class is here to help. It's here to help someone, a motivated spouse, who feels that this resonates with them. They want their marriage, their home to be sacred, to be a sanctuary, to be a place that brings holiness. But we're people. We have trauma. We have issues. We have challenges. We become defensive. And our spouses do too. So we're talking to a motivated spouse who wants to turn things around, who wants to create a home that is pristine, where there is good feelings, good vibes, as much as is possible. So we're here to help that spouse we're here to give that spouse tools to create an atmosphere of healing, of affection, to reignite that, so that the home can become a mikdash ma'at, a mini sanctuary. We're here to help the motivated spouse soothe and comfort and calm his or her triggers, and just as importantly, be able to speak to their spouse in a way that soothes, comforts, and calms his or her triggers as well. And if you're in a situation where your marriage is tense, where you often feel angry, upset, resentful, where your spouse is also often upset, And I want to add that these ideas, even if you want to build such a home, even if you're not currently in a relationship that you're trying to fix, but this sounds beautiful. This sounds attractive to you. This sounds pleasant to your ears. The idea of doing the sacred work of love to create a sanctuary that imparts holiness to you, to your spouse, and to whoever else has the blessing to interact with your home. This too is for you because it will help you learn what you could hold on to soothe and comfort your triggers. And there is something for you to hold on to. There's something that you can hold on to that can give you stability. There's an anchor that you can hold on to for stability in the midst of a tense marriage, in the midst of someone saying angry words to you, and in the midst really of any other thing stressful. And that is your soul. No matter how tense or tenuous your marriage is, no matter how lonely or overwhelmed you feel in your marriage, or if due to any other reason, there is a deeper part of you, your soul, the loving voice of Hashem within you that is serene and strong. That is the temple within you. The temple within you. There's a place that sanctifies within you. And that's your soul. If you could touch that deeper part of you, you'll be able to stand calm and confident. You'll be able to regulate distressed emotions and respond to your spouse with clarity and compassion instead of being pulled into conflict. And that's what we're going to learn about going forwards. So thank you so much for joining me this evening, and we'll continue working on the sacred work of love, of tapping into the sanctuary within you to become a sanctuary, a holistic sanctuary, and to create and heal your marriage so that your marriage becomes a marital sanctuary, a sacred work of love that then builds a home of love and imparts holiness to those that enter its portals, so that ultimately you are being a partner with the Creator in bringing holiness into the world. So I look forward to seeing you next week.